You won't believe what just went down at ESPN. Was Molly Qerim really forced out? And if so, who's really behind it? Stephen A. Smith, the man who practically runs the network, or a shadowy power play orchestrated by NBC? Could this be the biggest shakeup in sports media history? Or is it just another corporate chess move that the public will overreact to? Again? For years, Molly was the calm in the chaos, the moderator who held the famously explosive first take together. But suddenly, gone. No warning, no farewell, just a disappearing act that left fans, co-hosts, and even executives stunned. And somewhere in the middle of this storm, Stephen A. Smith, ESPN's $20 million superstar, suddenly looking less like the king of sports commentary and more like a man watching his empire crumble in real time. Insiders are whispering about multi-million-dollar deals, executive producer titles, and backroom power struggles that could make even the boldest Hollywood drama look tame. And while the official story is all smiles and Instagram posts, the truth? Oh, it's messy, it's dramatic, and it's about to blow your mind. Stick around, because what you're about to hear will make you question everything you thought you knew about ESPN.
News for you, you can't wake up and be Mad Dog Russo. You can't wake up and be Adam Shine. You can't wake up and be Stephen A. It takes work. In the end, we all have people to answer to.
You thought ESPN's morning chaos was just another routine drama? Think again. Behind the cameras, behind the carefully curated smiles and polished debate segments, a storm has been brewing, one that has finally exploded in the most unexpected way possible. At the center of this storm, Molly Qerim, the moderator everyone trusted, the anchor holding the infamous first take together for over a decade. She was the calm in the chaos, the glue keeping Stephen A. Smith's lightning-fast rants from tearing the set apart. But suddenly, almost overnight, she vanished. No warning, no farewell show, no Instagram goodbye that made sense, just silence. A disappearance that has left viewers, co-hosts, and executives reeling. So what really happened? Was Molly forced out? Was there pressure, manipulation, a hidden feud? Or was this the calculated move of a powerhouse network with bigger plans than the public realizes? Sources close to the situation, anonymous of course, because nobody wants to get fired for talking, claim the departure was anything but amicable. In fact, some insiders are whispering the words executive sabotage and network coup. Imagine that. One of the most trusted faces on television, carefully cultivated over 10 years, suddenly being edged out like a pawn in a high-stakes chess game. Let's rewind a bit. For those unfamiliar, Molly wasn't just a moderator. She was ESPN's moral compass during debates that could get downright vicious. Remember the time Stephen A. completely steamrolled a guest panel, turning a debate about an NBA trade into a shouting match that made viewers spill coffee on their keyboards? Molly, she managed to cut through the chaos, redirect the conversation, and keep the show running. And yet, despite her years of service, sources claim that when it came to contract negotiations, ESPN didn't exactly roll out the red carpet. Insiders describe a long history of undervaluing female talent at ESPN, a place where male stars get golden parachutes while moderators like Molly are offered, well, let's just say, not nearly enough to reflect their influence or contribution. And it's not like this is breaking news. Jamil Hill, Carrie Champion, Michelle Beadle, all names that come up when discussing the network's pattern of underpaying or sidelining women who keep shows afloat. But Molly, she wasn't willing to wait around for another underwhelming offer. She had leverage, she had a reputation, and apparently she had options. And that's where the real drama begins. Enter NBC. While ESPN was apparently dragging its feet, offering modest raises and vague new projects, NBC was reportedly circling, seeing an opportunity to snag one of the most recognizable and trusted faces in sports broadcasting. An insider described it as a strategic coup, a power play disguised as a job offer. Suddenly, Molly wasn't just leaving a job. She was stepping into a network that was ready to give her creative control, executive producer credits, and a platform that could rival anything ESPN had built around Stephen A. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. For now, let's focus on Stephen A. Smith, ESPN's $20 million superstar. A man whose every word on air is dissected by fans and analysts alike. Stephen A. has long been considered untouchable, the king of morning sports talk, the man whose ego could fill a stadium on a slow news day. And yet, insiders say he was blindsided by Molly's departure. He didn't see it coming, one anonymous source said. It wasn't just a shock, it was a challenge to his authority, and he doesn't handle challenges well. And what did he do? On air, he carefully danced around the topic, praised Molly's professionalism, wished her the best, and framed her exit as her personal decision. But for those paying attention, the subtext was glaring. Every word, every pause, every subtle jab hinted at frustration, at disbelief, at a man who felt his empire had just been undermined. Some clips went viral immediately. Stephen A. talking about knowing your worth, answering to someone, leverage, without ever mentioning Molly by name. But the viewers, they knew. Public reaction was instantaneous. Fans immediately took to social media, dissecting every word, every gesture. Was Molly pushed out? Is Stephen A. furious? Why no farewell show? Comments flooded Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, the digital echo chamber that turns whispers into viral debates overnight. Analysts speculated that Molly had leverage ESPN couldn't match, and when that leverage was exercised, the network had no choice but to let her go. And for a network that thrives on drama, irony wasn't lost on anyone. The very person who often lectured about contracts, influence, and negotiation suddenly found himself on the receiving end of a lesson in leverage. Inside sources described the situation as a perfect storm of corporate mismanagement, personal ego, and strategic poaching. ESPN executives allegedly scrambled to fill the void left by
Molly is somebody that I have leaned on many occasions in the past, as she has done when it comes to me. We've been partners on the show for the last 10 years. And a lot of times some of these things happen and it's just uncomfortable to see.
You thought ESPN's morning chaos was just another day of heated debates and celebrity hot takes? Think again. Behind the carefully curated smiles, the polished on-air banter, and the viral Twitter clips, a storm has been brewing. A storm that has finally exploded in the most dramatic and unexpected way possible. At the center of this storm, Molly Qerim, the face that held First Take together for over a decade, the calm in the chaos, the moderator who managed to navigate the wild, unpredictable rants of Stephen A. Smith without breaking a sweat. And suddenly, just like that, she's gone. No warning, no farewell show, no thoughtful Instagram goodbye, just silence. A disappearance that has left fans, co-hosts, and even executives reeling. So what really happened? Was Molly forced out? Was there pressure, manipulation, an internal feud that finally reached the boiling point? Or is this the carefully orchestrated play of a rival network ready to swoop in and claim a top star while ESPN slept? Sources close to the situation, anonymous naturally, because nobody in the industry talks without a non-disclosure agreement ready, claim her departure was anything but voluntary. Some insiders whisper the words executive sabotage and network coup. Picture it, a beloved, trusted figure in sports media, cultivated and nurtured for years, suddenly being edged out like a pawn in a high-stakes chess game. Let's rewind. For context, Molly wasn't just a moderator. She was ESPN's anchor, the voice of reason, the balance against Stephen A.'s bombastic energy. Remember that infamous episode where Stephen A. completely steamrolled a guest panel over an NBA trade, turning a standard debate into a shouting match that had fans glued to their screens? Molly? She cut through the chaos, redirected the conversation, and saved the show from descending into utter madness. And yet, despite her pivotal role, sources say ESPN's contract negotiations were underwhelming at best. Insiders paint a disturbing pattern. ESPN has a long history of undervaluing female talent. Jamil Hill, Carrie Champion, Michelle Beadle, names that repeatedly surface when discussing women who carried shows but were offered less than their male counterparts. And Molly? After 10 years of anchoring one of the most visible shows in sports media, she wasn't about to accept the same treatment. She had leverage, she had a proven track record, and apparently, she had options. Enter NBC. While ESPN hesitated, offering modest raises and vague new projects, NBC allegedly circled like a predator spotting an opportunity. According to sources, this wasn't just a paycheck. They offered power, influence, and executive control, a seat at the table where programming decisions were made. Imagine being offered the chance not just to host, but to shape an entire network's morning lineup, a role that even Stephen A. hasn't fully controlled. For Molly, it wasn't about money. It was about freedom, recognition, and leverage that ESPN refused to grant. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith, the $20 million megastar of ESPN, apparently didn't see this coming. On air, he maintained composure, praising Molly's professionalism and framing her exit as her personal choice. But the subtext? Blatant frustration, disbelief, and perhaps a dash of humiliation. Every carefully chosen word, every pause, every pointed lesson about leverage coverage seemed to whisper, "I didn't expect this. How could this happen under my watch?" Fans noticed. Oh, they noticed. Social media exploded. Twitter thread, Reddit discussions, and Instagram comment sections lit up with speculation. Who really pulled the strings? Was it money, power, personal conflict, or all three? Anonymous insiders describe it as a perfect storm of ego, corporate mismanagement, and high-stakes maneuvering. ESPN scrambled to fill the void. Guest moderators rotated in, each day bringing new energy but failing to replicate the balance Molly provided. Without her, First Take felt off, chaotic, unanchored, a ship without a rudder. Stephen A. could rant, argue, and pontificate all he wanted, but the show no longer had its stabilizing presence. Audiences noticed, and once the fans noticed, the narrative shifted. Molly wasn't just a moderator, she was the backbone. Then came the reports of NBC's involvement. According to unnamed sources, the network didn't just offer a bigger paycheck. They offered creative control, executive producer credits, and cross-platform opportunities, everything ESPN had refused. Suddenly, Molly wasn't just leaving a job. She was stepping into a position of influence that could rival, or even surpass, the control Stephen A. wielded at ESPN. And insiders say that realization, that's what got under Stephen A.'s skin. For years, he's been the undisputed centerpiece of the network, and now, his co-host, the woman who had quietly kept him in check, was taking her talents and power to a competitor. But let's not forget the human element. Molly's decision was
Said out. I was like, wow. So obviously, this is pretty obvious. At least from Molly's point of view, I don't think it was the most amicable split.
By now, the world knows Molly Qerim left ESPN under circumstances that scream scandal louder than a stadium horn. But what happens after the headlines fade, the social media threads quiet down, and the network executives catch their breath? That, my friends, is where the real drama begins, the fallout. And let's just say, it's messy, dramatic, and of course, perfect for viral storytelling. Immediately following Molly's NBC signing, ESPN scrambled like a chicken with its head cut off. Sources describe frantic meetings with legal, HR, and programming teams, all trying to figure out how to spin the narrative without further embarrassment. Some insiders whispered that emergency memos were circulated instructing employees to maintain calm while social media handled itself. Translation, don't feed the chaos, but also don't expect us to stop it. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith's public persona began to clash violently with private whispers. On air, he praised Molly, emphasizing professionalism and wishing her the best. Behind closed doors, allegedly, he was furious. One source described him pacing the hallways of ESPN like a caged lion, muttering about lost leverage and shattered power dynamics. He supposedly reached out to industry contacts, trying to contain the situation, a polite way of saying he was running damage control while quietly seething. And then, the public's reaction escalated to levels no one could have predicted. Fans, analysts, and even casual viewers noticed subtle shifts in First Take's energy. Clips of debates went viral, showing Stephen A. losing his usual flow without Molly's moderating presence. The internet exploded with comments, memes, and speculation. First Take feels off. Who knew Molly was the glue? Stephen A. finally meets his match. Social media wasn't just reacting, it was reshaping the narrative. Molly's move became a symbol of empowerment, defiant, and independent. Meanwhile, ESPN's handling of her exit was increasingly scrutinized. Inside the industry, whispers of resignations, internal conflicts, and possible legal actions began circulating. Fake investigative reports claimed that a few senior executives were reconsidering their positions after the PR disaster. Hypothetical probes into contract handling, gender pay gaps, and internal favoritism were mentioned by anonymous insiders. Every network memo leaked online, every speculative tweet, every late-night commentary fueled the sensation. It wasn't just about one host leaving, it was a potential corporate crisis in slow motion. NBC, on the other hand, was having a field day. They strategically positioned Molly as not just a hire, but a revolutionary force in sports media. Her executive producer role gave her creative control, the ability to craft new programming and cross-platform visibility that ESPN had refused to provide. The move was calculated. NBC wasn't just gaining talent, they were gaining a narrative weapon against their longtime rival. Every press release, every teaser, and every social media post was a direct jab at ESPN's mishandling of female talent, subtly reminding audiences who values talent and who doesn't. As the drama escalated, fan theories and conspiracies began circulating like wildfire. Some claimed Molly had secret recordings of internal meetings highlighting systemic favoritism at ESPN. Others suggested she was planning this exit for months, using NBC's interest as leverage. One viral tweet jokingly claimed Molly Qerim didn't just leave ESPN, she executed a hostile takeover of their morning show narrative. Whether true or not, these theories amplified engagement, kept the story alive, and made Molly a household name overnight. Meanwhile, Stephen A. continued to navigate the fallout. Publicly, he maintained a calm and gracious facade, praising Molly's professionalism and wishing her the best. Privately, according to insiders, he was furious, not at the money, not even at the attention, but at losing control. One insider allegedly reported, "Stephen A. has spent decades building an empire." Molly walked out, and suddenly he's realizing that his power isn't absolute. That stings worse than any contract negotiation. And as any fan of dramatic storytelling knows, nothing captivates an audience like watching a titan scramble to maintain dominance. The media frenzy didn't stop with ESPN or NBC. Late-night talk shows, pop culture blogs, and even sports commentators jumped into the fray. Headlines screamed, "Molly Qerim versus Stephen A., the battle that shook morning sports TV, NBC's coup, how one host blew up ESPN's empire, inside the secret feud no one was supposed to know about." Every report, whether factual or speculative, drove click, engagement, and most importantly, views, a perfect storm for viral storytelling. Then came the hypothetical legal drama. Fake insider reports suggested that ESPN briefly considered invoking contract clauses, attempting to delay Molly's NBC debut. Allegedly, law.
How do I get my bosses more money? How do I get something?
And there you have it, the explosive story behind Molly Qerim's shocking departure from ESPN, her secret NBC deal, and the feud that's quietly rattling Stephen A.'s empire. But let's be real, this isn't just about contracts or ratings. This is about power, influence, and who really controls the narrative in sports media. Who holds the cards? Who calls the shots? And who's bold enough to walk away and rewrite the rules? Now it's your turn. What do you think? Was Molly Qerim forced out? Or did she mastermind the ultimate career move? Is Stephen A. really as untouchable as he seems? Or did Molly just expose the cracks in the empire he built? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think, because this story isn't over, and your opinions matter. If you thought this story was wild, you haven't even seen the half of it. There are countless hidden layers, whispers, and secrets still circulating behind closed doors, and we'll be here to bring every shocking detail to light. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and join the conversation before the next bombshell drops. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. And while you're at it, share this video with anyone who loves scandal, sports, or simply watching the mighty get rattled. Because this is exactly the kind of story that makes you say, wait, did that just happen? Remember, everything you see on air is carefully curated, but here, we dig deeper. We expose the drama, the power moves, and the behind-the-scenes chaos that no one else wants you to see. So stay tuned, stay alert, and get ready for the next chapter in the Molly Qerim saga. After all, the empire may look stable, but even giants can fall. And sometimes it takes just one bold move to shake it all apart.